make a trading decision very quickly. One of the initiatives that Trade Ideas had over the last year and a half was to create a model that allowed us to serve not only the experienced, advanced users of Trade Ideas, but also service the users that are just coming into the technology and aren't as familiar with the configuration techniques. And by doing that, we've added what we call our channel bar. And our channel bar is located over on the right-hand side of the screen. The channel bar really allows you to view different views of the market based upon your preference. You could walk in at the morning and click on the pre-market channel to get an idea of what stocks are gapping up, gapping down, maybe trading on volume, and then have the ability to drill into any of those symbols right into our single stock window. Also, one of the things that's very unique about Trade Ideas, while we're creating all these statistical baselines of normalized behavior, we're also creating new pieces of data. You know, everybody's familiar with the bid, the last, the volume for the day, but we take those bits of information and we create new bits of information. Information like relative volume. So we all know what the total volume for the day is. It's just accumulating all the shares that are transacted. But relative volume, for instance, takes volume and it really makes it interesting. It now tells you if a stock is trading more volume than normal. You know, maybe it's starting to have an exceptional move up, but doing it on 3 or 4 times normal volume. Well, that's important information to know. And using this technology and some of the data points that Trade Ideas has, you have the ability to really have those symbols rise right to the top. So this is what you would look at if you were coming in pre-market. You know, if you wanted to ask the market open and you wanted to see which stocks were really starting to move and starting to run away, you could go to our surge channel, for instance. And the surge channel has a variety of different windows. It has an M for multi-strategy window, it has an A for an alert window, and it has a T for top list, and an S for single stock. So it really has 4 different window types in this view, and it's really giving you little bits of information that are little nuances that are different from each other. When you pull up a stock like this right here, you can see very quickly if you look onto a chart, and I should note this is a third-party charting tool. Currently, Trade Ideas does not offer charts with the scanning tool, but we do link with about 95% of the trading applications and charting tools that are out there. In about, I want to say 45 to 60 days, we will be introducing our own charts. This will be included with your subscription. So just a quick preview of what something like that might look like. You know, this would be the Trade Ideas chart, and when you click on a symbol, it'll update accordingly, and we have, or we will have rather, all the different time frames that you see here in this particular drop-down. So really our goal here is to create an environment that you never really need to leave Trade Ideas to understand whether you want to invest, buy, or sell a particular security. So, I mean, if you're looking at the channel bar, I've got so many different themes, if you will, whether it's drilling right into the Chinese stocks, looking at some of the real estate securities, cybersecurity, which was hot in the news, you know, a few weeks ago. All these different themes can just be pulled up. Here's the fundamental channel, for instance. So we're doing all kinds of crunching of numeric data, but we also have a variety of different fundamental data points inside of the software for analysis. I'm not going to drill into every single window and every specific, you know, nuance of the windows. Today I want to really focus on the alert window. And in the alert window, like I said earlier, was really the kind of the flagship window. And if you understand how that particular window works, really all the other windows are very, very simple to understand. So we're going to really start at the top there with that window. So to do that, let me go ahead and I'm going to kind of clean this up a little bit. And I'm going to close some windows so we're not distracted here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to bring in a new alert window. Okay, so I'm just going to go up to the toolbar and I'm going to select New Alert Window. I'm going to start from scratch. So I don't have any filters, I don't have any alerts in here, I don't have any columns selected. I really have a clean slate. But I'm going to keep this really basic so you get the nuance to it, because it's super important that you get it. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in an alert trigger. There has to be an event to send a symbol to the window. In this case, it'll make it really easy if I just do, say, post market. Let me type in post, and I'm going to select 2 events. You can have multiple events in this window here. So I'm going to select 2, and I'm going to add the alert. Did I not start from scratch? I start from scratch. I'm going to select these two events. We're going to add the alert, and now I'm going to select them. I'm just going to hit OK, and I'm going to type in, whenever you make a change in the window, it'll take you to the summary tab here so you can name the window appropriately. I'm going to call this post market highs and lows. All right, so now I just have a window here that's listening for these events to occur. Very much like a Twitter stream, very much like a Facebook news feed. These are just events that are happening. Yahoo just made a post-market low. NVIDIA made a post-market low, and you can confirm that. If you pull it up on a chart, you can take a look at what's going on in the post-market. Just a stream. It's a kind of a noisy stream. You have a lot of information coming through, and this is what you might experience when you're creating a window during the market. And you have all kinds of symbols coming through, a lot of noise, that's what we call it, and there's not really anything you can do with it because there's so much coming through. This is somewhat of a slower stream right now because it's after hours, but you can imagine as things are ticking through here, it just becomes a little bit overwhelming. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go back into the configuration window, and we're going to apply a couple filters. And filters are really the narrowing mechanism. It's a funnel, if you will, that really narrows the available symbols that could possibly trigger. And we all know about filters like price and volume. Those are always filters you should probably set inside of trade ideas. So I'm going to set a minimum price of 5, a maximum price of 100. And I always like to put in an average daily volume. We do give you a lot of different data points here. We can do average daily volume over 5 days, 10 days, 30 days. It doesn't matter, but we're just going to pick one here, and we're going to say, on average, this stock needs to trade at least 250,000 shares a day. And then you can put in some other filters. So that's just one filter. Let's say you want to make sure that for this post-market high to come through the window, you want to make sure that the stock is trading above its 50-day simple moving average. Well, if you type in 50-day SMA, we're going to go ahead and put the filter here. This is the filter. We're going to select it. And now we're just going to add a filter that says this stock needs to be above the 50-day SMA. Very, very simple. I'm just going to put 0.01% in the minimum. And now what I have, I've built a window here that's looking for stocks between 5 and 100, 250,000 shares a day. They're above their 50-day SMA by at least 0.01%, and it's making a new high. So adding the filters to the alert allows me to really slow down the stream into something a little bit more digestible. And I'm sure, if we sit here and watch it, it'll be a little bit of a slower stream. I can also, very, very nice data points that we have, like I mentioned earlier, relative volume. This is probably one of the most exciting data points that we have from a trading perspective. So if I type in relative volume, I select it, and I hit Add Filter, and I say, I only want to see stocks that are making this post-market high between 5 and 100, 250,000 shares above the 50-day SMA, but it's trading 3 times normal volume today. So really, I've just layered these filters to paint a picture, and now I can be assured that as I pull a stock up, all of those criteria are going to be in place. Okay, so that's the alert window. Super important to understand the way the alerts work, the way the filters work, and the way they work together to really make a strategy. So let's make a strategy now. Let's not do it with the post-market highs, but let's bring in another window here. And we're just going to call this is the FYI window. Again, it's a pretty basic window. I'm going to right-click so we can see exactly what we're looking at. The icons with the white background represent alerts, and the icons with the cyan or magenta background represent the filters. So in this particular strategy, I have 3 alerts, and I have 1 filter. You can go to the Summary tab to really get an idea of what they are. So new high, strong volume, running up, and the stock has to have traded at least 100,000 shares today. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use our odds maker. Our odds maker is an event-based backtesting tool to run through a hypothetical situation such that had I been buying every instance of an alert, how would I have done over the time period? And we'll make a few assumptions along the way, but let's go ahead and do that. So on any alert window that we have, you have the ability, if you have a subscription to the odds maker, to run the backtesting on it. So I'm going to go ahead and select Run Odds Maker. This window that populates right here, there are some instructions that I have to tell it. The first thing I have to tell it is when do I want to potentially initiate a trade. And I'm on the West Coast, so I'm not going to be trading for the first 15 minutes, and I'm not going to be trading or initiating a trade for the last 3 hours. My hypothesis here is that if I'm to buy a stock that comes through that window, I'm going to hold it for 60 minutes. I'm going to put a protective stop on there of $1. So if the position moves against me $1, I'm going to get out. I'm also adding a variable called the wiggle, which is our relative volume, filter value, plus the volatility of the stock. So essentially what it's saying is if the stock is doing more volume than normal, give it a little bit bigger stop than you normally would. So that's the parameters that we're going to run. And now I'm going to simulate buy. And this could take a moment because we're going to be running through a lot of different results. We're going to be doing this over the last 64 trading days. So the last quarter, this is going to give us the hypothesis here. And you know, I made a grave mistake here, really to illustrate kind of what not to do, actually. What I've done here is I created a window and a strategy, and that strategy has multiple alert events in it. And what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to decide whether this strategy is going to be a profitable one for me. But because I have 3 different events in there, it's just not very consistent. So I don't ever really recommend running the odds maker with multiple alerts on the initial run. By that I mean I could run this separately for the new high alert, I could run this separately for the volume one, I could run it separately for the running up, see how each of those are doing, and then decide if I want to combine them or not. But you really do need to know what the individual components are. So I'm going to go ahead and do this right. Okay, I'm going to let's close this down. 6,000 trades. It was way too much. We're going to go through the analysis, so I'll drill into it for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this window right here. So it's the same window, but I took out the other alerts. So if you look at it, it's just going to have 1 alert and 1 filter. So let's run it again. Same parameters as before. In fact, all the different runs that I'm going to do right now are going to have all the same parameters, so we can really compare apples for apples as we start to make changes. Again, this is going to have way too many results, but we're trying to just throwing some grass up into the air for the golfers and figuring out which way the wind's blowing and seeing if we can do anything with this. Let me talk a little bit about the analysis first, and then we'll try to refine it and make this strategy a little bit better, and then we'll use the odds maker optimization tab to really optimize the strategy properly. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at a lot set of just under 5,700 trades. So over that time period of the last 3 months, there were 5,700 trades that met the criteria of running up. It was a strong run up because we have a filter value in the alert, but a strong run up and doing at least 100,000 shares today. Over half of them were losers. The profit factor is a value, the sum total of winning trades over sum total of losing trades, just close to 1. I don't like that. I like to see it around 2, 3, something in that regard. But we know there were just far too many trades in this strategy here to even implement from a buying power perspective. But we're not going to worry about that because we're going to add a few more filters onto it. And I spent a little bit of time before the webinar today going through the optimization tab, doing a few trial runs, and coming up with a couple more filters to add on. So I'm going to leave this up here. We can refer back to it in a little bit. And I'm going to bring this other window in. And now I've added 4 filters to it. And by the way, this is one of the projects that our technical development team is working on right now, and that's our AI server, bringing this type of technology right to you, whereas our goal here is to have our software tell you what 3 filters to add into the configuration to make this strategy. So, but right now I did this myself, and I added these 3 filters, and we can take a look at them. Pretty basic stuff where the stock's 5-day range is at least $3.70. Stock was down at least 18 cents yesterday, so it was down a little bit yesterday, and the price is at least 21 cents below today's high. So with that information in place, let's go ahead and do another odds maker run, and you can notice how the filters, adding some filters in here, is going to narrow down the number of trades that I can transact. So let's do that again. Run the odds. And by the way, one of the beautiful things about the odds maker is that you can go ahead and make a filter change, setting change, run it again, see if that helped. If it didn't, take it off, and you can really experiment using these data sets. So let me run it again, same parameters as before. And you can see here as it's running, we have a little bit of a better graph. And probably the most important thing, so we have a better graph. This is probably still not ready for production, but we've narrowed it down where we've only got 272 trades, a profit factor above 2, 62.1% winners. That's good. Average winner to loser, it's okay. I'd like to see a 2-to-1 ratio here. Buying power, this strategy could be implemented, trading at $10,000 per transaction. We also can model this in share size, so if I wanted to say trade 200 shares, I could do that. I wouldn't be able to implement this particular strategy without getting 200 share lot size, but that's just because I don't have a maximum price on here as well, and so there are probably some very expensive stocks that I ended up buying in the strategy. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and do some optimization, and this is where the real power of the odds maker comes into play here. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is we're going to go to the optimization tab. And the optimization tab allows us to kind of expose all the data, if you will, and really find out which filter values are impactful, which settings you should put in here to have the best return and to be able to make the most alpha out of this particular strategy. So in this case, if I'm looking at the price breakdown, and I've got this in $50 increments, that might be a little high. I could change it to, say, $25 increments. And I could see very quickly that these two trades that I made above $300 weren't very successful. I could probably limit this to 225 based upon the optimization here of the price points. So we're going to do that. Why don't I go ahead and I'm going to right-click here in this window, and I'm going to go ahead and edit the price. Let's just say set the max price here to $299.99, and I'm going to make that 300 just to make it easy. So utilizing this very first price tab, I'm able to now modify the price of my filters here. So let's go into time of day. In the time of day here, I've got a pretty small window. Remember, I'm not trading the first 15 minutes, and I'm not trading the last 3 hours. So this all looks pretty good. And what it does is it breaks down all the trades that you would have made in that first half hour, the second half hour, and you can break these intervals up really any way you want and slice the data up. But let's go here to the other filters. This is the most exciting part of the odds maker because it just really, like I said, exposes all the data. And we have, in this drop-down right here, I have all the different filters that are available to trade ideas. So in theory, you could go through every filter and see which values you should have that would have the greatest impact on the strategy. I've already done this, so I'm going to go through a couple. Let's go from change for the day. So change from the close. Actually, no, let's do change from the previous day. And we're going to do that in dollars. So if we look at this right here, we can see here that if the stock was down $15 or more the previous day, I had very little success in that particular strategy. So I could right-click here, and I could set the minimum value of the previous day to $15. I'm only going to do a couple of these, but you're going to see the real amazement of taking this optimization tab, looking at the different filters, excluding some items that weren't very favorable, and you'll see how it affects it. Let's do the next one here, and let's say the 120-minute range. This is one, so let's hit OK here. We made that change. Now let's go to the 120-minute range, and we could either look at percentage or dollars. And that's dollars. Let's go down here to percent. And so what's this telling us? Over the last 120 minutes, when a stock has moved up 20%, I have not been successful. So that to me tells me that I should be capping the strategy off right about 20%. And I could massage the numbers a little more to get the exact number, but I'm just going to right click in here and let's set the max value to 20. I like to use round numbers, so set that to 20. All right, we're also going to put a volatility filter in here. So let's go into the volatility. And you would be able to tell, this is what I do. When I'm at home and I'm configuring this, I just select one of the filters up top and I hit the down arrow, and I just cycle through the filters to find where is it that I want to go ahead and try to modify something. Like, so let's go into volatility. So let's do volatility and the percentage. Let's look at this. And so by looking at this, we can say that, you know, anything above 0.79 wasn't very favorable. So let's cut it off at that point. All right, and I think I'm going to add, I'm just going to add 2 more filters. Let's do the linear regression divergence. Now, I don't know the nuances of this particular filter right here, but I do know what this is telling me, and this is telling me that when that linear regression value is below 0.4, I'm not very successful. Here I had 25 trades, 40% of them were winners. This is what I ended up losing. So I'm going to go ahead and make this my minimum value for the linear regression. And if I break it down into, say, 5-cent increments, you might be able to get a little bit more info. So let's go ahead and set the breakpoint right here. We'll set the minimum value to 0.35. And let's do one more. Let's just do the change in 10 days. And right here, so if we look at this, we can say we don't want anything here below $30 down over the last 10 days. So let's set the minimum, and then let's run this. Okay, so all the filters have been modified right here in this window. There are a lot more than 4 now, so let's go ahead and change the window name before we run it. And let's call this Running Up Fully Optimized. And let's run the odds maker, and let's simulate the buy. My expectations are that this one's going to be a lot better than before. It's going to be more consistent. I don't think we excluded too many trades in the process, so we're probably going to be above 200. Yeah, so this is what we're left with. We're left with a profit factor of 4. That's the sum total of winning trades over losing trades. So a factor of 4 is excellent. Total trades, 234. That's a good number for a 3-month period of time. Certainly not to take every one of them, but it's giving you a 66.7% win rate. And I like this number here, winner to loser ratio of 2-to-1. That's pretty good. The strategy return, I could implement this using 200 shares. I could also implement it using a dollar value. So I think this was a good way to show really how you can use the odds maker to really slowly start to add some filters to your strategy to just make it a more appealing strategy that's going to have a greater return. Let me take a pause right now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring Scott back, and I'm going to bring up our specials that we have. We generally put out some specials when we do a webinar. So let me have Scott present that.
Hey, thanks, Brad. Yeah, we like to provide a value to everyone that comes to visit our webinars. If you're a new subscriber or if you've been with us before and want to add a service or upgrade, you can save 30% on the order total or the first month of a subscription by using that product code you see highlighted in yellow in the upper right on checkout. That's QA Webinar 22, and 22 is for today's date. So it's QA Webinar 22, all caps on checkout. Lets you try us for the $99 rate at only $69.30. Or, you can try the $75 monthly recurring for the first month, only $52.50. You can get a lifetime odds maker license for only $770. And we're currently still offering our best combination deal that we've ever offered. If it's the next slide there, Brad, it's our $8.99 deal. And it's really for either existing clients that understand the value of trade ideas, or maybe you already do understand the value of trade ideas and you just want to get the best deal. And it's less than a cup of coffee a day. It comes out to $246 a day for the year. You get the full year of trade ideas, which normally costs $628. You get the lifetime odds maker subscription, which is normally $1,100. and an optimized strategy. When we do those a la carte, they're $250 per strategy. You can get it all for $8.99 by going to that bit.ly link. That's going to take you directly to the page where you can get the deal, the combination. So type in bit.ly/899saver into your browser, and you be taken to that page, and you can go ahead and get that deal. I'm really not sure how much longer we're going to run it. We're looking at doing a different combination that's going to probably involve a 2-year commitment. So this lets you get in on this with a 1-year commitment only. So it's bit.ly/899saver, or you can use the QA product code for today's webinar for 30% off the order total. That was QA webinar 22. Brad?
Thank you, Scott. All right, so a couple questions coming in. Carl, Jesse, I'm going to get to those questions in just a second. So yeah, I want to show you something here, because Scott was just talking about the optimized strategies, and I kind of showed you how we kind of get to something like that. But let me show you what we've had our servers do. And when people buy an optimized strategy, we really leave most of this up to our computers and our artificial intelligence. I'm going to load from the cloud, and I'm going to load an optimized strategy that I made a long time ago. So this is an optimized mean reversion strategy. This was made on November 3rd of last year. So I'm going to select it, load it up, and I'm going to run this. So this is this is something, what you could expect when you get an optimized strategy from Trade Ideas. So run the odds maker. This is a strategy looking for an extreme move down, looking to bid into that or to buy that down move, looking for a retracement back up. We're not going to trade the first 5 minutes. We're not going to trade the last hour. And we're hypothesizing we're going to hold this for 45 minutes, and we're going to put a 50-cent protective stop in there. Simulate the buy. So it looks like this had a little over 300 trades over the last 3 months, about 100 trades a month. It's got that 2-to-1 win-loss ratio. It's got the profit factor of 4, 300 trades during that time period. You can just take a look at the equity curve, and this is the equity curve that is the top line. It includes commission and then includes slippage. So this is your net right here. At the caliber heat map, you can drill into any of those. But with an optimized strategy, we've utilized the intelligence of our servers to really populate these filter values with the most appropriate filters. So that's something that I really wanted to show you guys, because it's a little bit different than manually doing it through trial and error. It's really utilizing the computing power that we have. All right, so there was a question earlier with respect to does the odds maker take into account what the overall market is doing? And this was from Carl, and you certainly can. We have a variety of different filters that pertain to the broader market. So if I was to go into the configuration here and search for, something spiders. Let me type in spiders. So you could put these filters on for both spiders, Qs, and diamonds. What has the broader market been doing today, over the last 5, 10, 15, or 30 minutes? So you can incorporate those filters in your strategy as it pertains to the broader market. All right, Jesse, now you had a great question. This is one that it's kind of a little Easter egg, if you go to Run Odds Maker. And Jesse's question was, he only sees a few of the filters in the optimization dropdown. That's this guy. Let me cancel this. This optimization dropdown, other filters, where I have it populated with all of these filters right here. Jesse's only seeing a couple of them. And that's that's because of this. Jesse, you're probably only seeing the filters that are available as columns in the strategy that you're running. And that's because when you go ahead and select Run Odds Maker, and you go to the Show Advanced button right here, you've got it set probably to this radio button that says Use Columns from Strategy. Now I've used this bottom one, which says Use My Favorites, and I only need to set this one time. So you go into Set, and what I've done is I basically selected every single available column and I added it. Just like you're adding columns to your visual display, but this is a little bit behind the scenes. And these are my selected. These are all of the columns. So if you go to search, the way that you do it is you would just highlight everything. I've got a lot of customs in there, so I'll take those out. You just highlight everything right here and then select Show Column. Once you do that, it's added and you hit OK. It'll then retain all of those different filter columns for your analysis in the odds maker. So I'll start taking some questions now that maybe didn't get answered by Dan or Scott in the chat. And if you have something you want me to talk about here, this is kind of how we do it in a nice informal way. Question about automation. Automation is something that we do have. We have it. Our preferred partner for automation is Lightspeed Trading. We have a great little tool. If you have a Lightspeed account and trade ideas, we have this Brokerage Plus component. And the Brokerage Plus component really allows me to automate any strategy that I've got. I can create a strategy. I can drop it into the Strategies tab. I can initiate these positions automatically. And then I can utilize our position monitor here to quickly enter and exit trades, to reverse trades. One of the great things is our P&L graph right here, which is graphing your open and closed P&L, which is fantastic. So you can see where your P&L's been, not just where it is right now. So that's Lightspeed Trading. We have the automated trading bot. All right, so I'm scanning some more questions here. So once you optimize the strategy, where are the results showing the stocks that fit? Okay, so here's an example. This was the mean reversion strategy. So this was something that I ran the odds maker. It gave me a historical representation, right? So this right here is a historical representation, not counting today. But the results for today are all right here. This is what would have triggered today had I been watching this window in real time. So I hope that helps. All right, so Mike, I want to consolidate all my alerting into TI, including regular price alerts. Right now we do not have, I think that's also called limit alerts. That's not available in the software, but that is a feature that we will be adding. Limit alerts, generally we've found that that's available in most of the trading applications that you execute your trade with. So it was never a super high priority, but it is something that we will be adding into the software. So Fernando, yeah, you need trade ideas for day trades and swing trades between 2 and 5. Well, you know, that's exactly what Trade Ideas does. And a lot of times people will enter into an intraday day trade and find out that that trade is really worth holding. You know, it starts out with that intraday mindset to make sure that it retains its profitability and it holds up the way that you want. But yeah, these signals, we can monitor short-term signals, long-term signals. It's really all about how you want these modeled. So Carl, you know, that's a great question. How often should you optimize your strategies? I think it really depends upon whether it's breaking down or not. If a strategy tends to break down after a couple weeks, that's not uncommon. You know, the market is very efficient. But it's not always required. Like I said, here's a strategy. This mean reversion one was created, what, 5 months ago. So I haven't re-optimized that one once in that time period. So it really all depends. What stocks are included in the entire TI universe of stock symbols? Well, you can find that if you go to Configure and you go into our Exchanges tab, you can see the exchanges that we watch. And so we're watching OTC Bulletin Board, Pink Sheets. We also watch the Canadian, TSX and TSX Venture, as well as the NYSE, ARCA, Amex, and NASDAQ. So Casey, when you sign up the very first time, let me show you what it's going to look like and what you can do with it. I'm just going to close a bunch of these windows. So when you sign up for the first time, it's going to look like this. That's not it. That's the old layout. It's going to look like this. Let me just bring in the channel bar and the social media. This is what it should look like. The social media is the default channel that comes up. So you're going to have a channel bar. You're going to have a variety of windows. another tool at your disposal will be the welcome screen. And the welcome screen does have the channel bar capability in this first tab, but you also have some additional information. So the strategies tab will allow you to drill into a variety of different pre-configured strategies that we've made. So we've got channels, which are pre-configured workspaces. The strategies are the pre-configured strategies. And then we've got the tools tab, which will allow you to launch any one of the different tools that we have available. So Lee, you're asking if you can run this. The application only runs on Windows. It can definitely run inside of Parallels. I use that. It also works great with VMware. We are in the latter stages of our development for our new web version. It's going to be really slick, and it's going to have all the functionality that TI Pro has, the application. So that's going to be what you're most likely going to want to use in about a month and a half. So we're a couple months from releasing this great new version that's super robust. It has the channel bar, multi-strategy window, top list window, compare count window, which, by the way, I didn't talk at all about the compare count window, but this is a great visualization tool that allows you to take two strategies and put them against each other. So this is a simple one that's looking for new highs and new lows, kind of dead right now, but during the market, you can see how the bulls and bears are really attacking each other and who's winning. So Casey, with respect to educational webinars, we do our QA webinar once a week. We also try to have another webinar, a partner webinar as well, and we have another, it's not a partner webinar, but we have another webinar this evening, 5 o'clock Pacific time. But we also do one-on-one training, so if you haven't taken advantage of the personal one-on-one training, that is my recommendation because it's very individual. You know, we connect to your desktop, we ask you questions of what you're looking for, you ask us questions, interactive, and people they really get a lot out of it, and it definitely tapers the learning curve of the software. So David, this is the first iteration of the channel bar. As a result of it being the first iteration, you cannot customize these icons right here, but you can customize the channels and then save them to your own cloud. So for instance, if you wanted to take out this window, make this window longer, you wanted to change the filters in this window here to make sure that you're only looking for stocks that, I don't know, trade at least, say, 1 million shares a day. So once you've made those changes, what you can do is, and I've got other windows open on my other screen, but what you can do is you can then save it to your cloud. And you do that by right-clicking in any of the windows and select Save to Cloud. And you can either save the entire layout, or you can select, 4 windows to save the entire layout. You can have it erase all the other windows, or go on top of the other windows. So all those choices are yours, and once you do that, let me say that modified, and so now you have a cloud link. This link right here you can share among your friends, over to support if you need help with the strategy, but moreover, what you're able to do then is select this My Cloud option, and the very first, it's done in chronological order, the last one saved is going to be your social media stream modified, and you can always load it up right from there. All right, so are the scanners all real-time, or do they update every X amount of seconds? Okay, so that's a great question. The top list windows will update every 30 seconds, and it does that just because things will move around too fast. You won't be able to digest the info. So this will update every 30 seconds, and then of course you can manipulate this data from the sort order perspective, and this will all update. With respect to the alert window or the multi-strategy window, these are all real-time signals. So as soon as that event occurs, it's going to send that symbol right to your window for you to then look at on the chart and make a trading decision on that. Will the new TI chart show the level of pending alerts on the charts? We've got, remember, this is going to be our first version of the chart, so we're not going to hold the release up to put every bell and whistle in it. But what we've done is we've done some great stuff. Let me bring up a stock like, let me go back in time a little bit. Let's bring up this stock right here. And then let's take a look at an intraday, like a 5-minute chart. Well, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be annotating the alerts in some fashion on the chart. So you're going to know when you click on an alert which candle that was that caused that event to occur. Or if you're looking at a new high event, it's going to tell you where the next resistance level is. So the great part is we're taking a lot of the trade ideas data and bringing it into the chart as well. So they will work very nicely together. Yeah, there is a trick, Keith, for copying. So Keith asked a question, is there a trick for copying all the symbols from a TI window to a symbol list? And the best way to do it is to first go up to your tools area and make sure that this highlight grid row upon selection is not selected. What that does is, I'll select it here and you can see what it does. When I select a row, the entire grid row is highlighted. So I'm going to take that off. Let's go into options. Take it off. Now I'm going to use my mouse and I'm going to highlight the entire symbol field here, and I'm going to hit the Control C. That's Windows copy command. Once you do that, you can go into Tools, go into Symbol Lists, create a new list. We'll call it for Demo. And now, wherever for Demo is, I'm going to go into it and I'm just going to paste. So I've got all my symbols right in there. Another thing you can do, which is kind of cool, so once I add that, so I've got 34 symbols in there, I can then keep this window kind of anywhere tucked away in the corner, you know, and I can start adding things. So if something comes through and I want to add it to that symbol list, let's say Microsoft comes through, I want to add it. Well, now that's been added, and now my symbol count is 35. All right, so did I miss anybody? Are there any questions that didn't get answered? I've just been kind of peeking at the question sheet. So Casey, great question. The chat room. We have a chat room. We have a support forum. So if you go to forums.tradeideas.com, and you can get there from our website as well. Let me bring it in. So this is the chat room. I actually have a Chrome plugin here that takes away the forum. Let me bring the forum in a way that we can all see. So what we have is we have our forum down at the bottom, and then we have our live trading room here, and this is open during the market hours, and our moderator, Barry Einerson, does a fantastic job of showing everybody how the trade ideas technology can be used to spot great opportunities in the market, and there's quite a wealth of information that's in there, a lot of great traders. So I definitely encourage any of you to go sign up. You know, just log in. It doesn't cost anything. Just log in and participate if you wish. Otherwise, just feel free to, you know, kind of be a voyeur. All right, so Tim, you asked a question about Sterling being supported for auto trading. So we have a third-party vendor, Stock Ticker, put together a nice application for being able to utilize automation between trade ideas and Sterling. And Tim, the real net of that is that they're not making any changes to that application. So if you're looking for new order types or you're looking for, you know, some type of improvement to it, I don't believe that's going to be happening to that application, although it's still being functional, it's still working, so you still should be able to use it. TI is not available with Forex presently. Right now it is just equities, and we do some options analysis as well. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm going to bring back the specials and our contact information.
Yeah, remember you can get the $8.99 special by going to bit.ly/899saver, I believe. Yep. And then our our promo code for the day is the QA webinar 22 code. It's good for 30% on checkout of order total of first month. And
Thanks,
of
Scott.
course,
One more question kind of came in
yeah.
here, and I want to, really easy, it's from options. They wanted to know what we do with options. So we do have a channel in the channel bar for options, and we put together some windows that utilize these data points. Probably the best data point that we have, like, I mentioned earlier, the relative volume is probably the best data point. Well, if you're looking as it pertains to options, we've got this filter called options volume today percentage. And again, it keeps that statistical baseline of what normal option behavior is for all the different stocks. And so when something is trading a lot more than normal pertaining to options, we have that information. And so this top upper left window, to me, is the most powerful one, because what it shows you, it shows you what stocks here are trading completely unusual option volume today. 900 times option volume, all the way up to these crazy values. And then we have other data points as well. If you were to right-click and go into Configure, search, and type options, you're going to get these 6 different filters that you can manipulate with the software. So, Mike, there's another webinar today at 5 o'clock Pacific, yes. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a very good one. Casey, one at a time. You can put it on multiple machines, but you can only be logged in one at a time.
All right. Thank you, everybody.